Talk to me about RealTrust. Obviously, we've had an amazing experience with RealTrust recently.
We did.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But talk to me about how it all happened, how you came up with the idea for RealTrust.
So RealTrust is an idea that I've had for over a decade.
Okay.
I saw that gap, that pain point in the market.
Yeah.
For foreign investors who don't have bank accounts here, buyers or sellers.
Yeah.
Also coming from the US, title and escrow is how we transact.
Yeah.
And that was lacking in the secondary market. So when I started to get more serious about, meaning I had the time to get serious about it after my data initiatives and projects, I started having conversations with the government through various different think tanks to explore the concept. So a few years ago, I just decided to say, you know what, we're going to show how it's done here, how we can do escrow successfully, how we can adopt the various different models here in the UAE. So we started, my business partner and I started RealTrust, and it was a learning process. It was a learning curve on how to customize it,
package it up to be able to be used.
To be a proper platform that was agile enough to handle as many countries as possible and as many currencies as possible, because our digital escrow platform is also has a foreign exchange component, which is very useful and helpful for international clients because they save money on the currency conversions. So being able to put all the pieces together and adopt it here, regulated, licensed, insured, every transaction is insured for £10 million, and then work with the real estate transaction process and how we fit into it. Every case is unique. We deal with investors from all over the world. We can deal with over 120 countries and over 40 currencies. So when I would say now we are at that point where we have a very good, solid business model. We built the digital escrow platform, and it's working very well in the market. And then we also recently started taking crypto transactions that are best regulated. And with your case, it was very interesting because it was very dynamic.
Yeah, you could say that.
We had the buyer and seller were both international.
Yeah, which was a first for me. And again, I said before, I felt like I was completely learning how to do deals again. So I'd not brokered a secondary market deal for about 3 years. And the market's changed anyway. The way that was an in-between, but the new Form F app was out there, but people were still doing forms, and obviously now it's completely online, which is great. It's so much easier, but not having either client in the city was a first for me, and it was so easy. And some people were talking about on the last podcast was like chance, how everything comes around. And we met at a talk in the IFC.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, if we wouldn't have met and talked about what you were doing, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. We probably wouldn't have done the deal. But it was amazing, and basically everything was just handled so easily from your side. The client side was a different issue. That was a frustrating story, and I said to you before as well, luckily I'm in a position where I'm okay. If the deal wouldn't have gone through, it wouldn't have affected me. But you still want to do deals, right? And it was now we're managing the resale in Kempinski. I wanted to do more deals, and the seller had some people are just crazy, right?
Yeah, I think what in your case, and it's a really good lesson to agents, just all agents here, your seller was thinking in euro, not in dirhams.
Yeah, which was mad because there was nothing tied to the euro apart from his initial purchase 2 years ago.
But that's what he had in his head, and that's what he thought, which is something that I always tell real estate agents is never negotiate outside of the dirham. Yeah. Because that's how deals are lost. Yeah. We've had quite a few deals lost. Yeah. Yeah, especially the euro. And when we were doing this transaction, the euro went from 3.77 to 3.98 in a matter. It was a matter of a few weeks, that it happened, and that really could have impacted the deal if we were dealing in euro. Yeah. So that was one challenge, and I mean, it's like I told you earlier. I don't know where you got the patience, or you. Obviously, you're a very good broker because you were able to manage both parties, because the buyer was getting annoyed as well.
Yeah,
and you were able to manage both of the parties extremely well. The deal fell apart. You were able to put it back together, and then we finally closed. We finished it. But that transaction was the first for us, where Majdal, our director of operations and legal, it was her and I at the registration trustee, because we were both power of attorneys, one for seller, one for buyer. So there was no seller, no buyer, and no agents there, because you didn't need to be there. So we were the only two there at the trustee transacting for this for this property. We handled escrow, we did the foreign exchange conversion, and they, everyone was happy. They got their funds same day, and it was good. So
it turned out well in there.
Yeah,
That's amazing. No, it was definitely, and I can only imagine so many more deals coming with our project. The owners are overseas, so there's going to be a lot more need for this. And I would also imagine the whole of Dubai, agents in Dubai, with the amount of overseas investment, they're going to need that service as well.
Yeah, so we're very busy, to say the least. What's unique about us, and we're the only ones in the UAE doing it this way with escrow, is that we open the escrow account in the buyer's name. So when the funds are transferred, they're transferred directly from the buyer to the seller, or buyer to the developer for making a developer payment on their behalf. So it's a first party fund transfer. So it doesn't come to RealTrust, it goes directly from buyer to seller. So when it comes to compliance and central bank regulations, we bypass all of that. We just give the Form F. That's pretty much all that we need to give, passports. We do KYC, AML, everything. But for us, the transactions are very smooth. Funds are transferred same day, next business day, and we don't have to deal with the banks blocking the transaction or anything like that. So that's our unique selling point. And that's how we're able to service so many different countries and so many different currencies without problems. Because I'm sure you're aware, but beginning of this year, UAE Central Bank, they really locked down on their regulations. They didn't change anything, they just are enforcing them. So third-party fund transfers, they don't like. So accounts are getting frozen, funds are getting returned, funds are getting blocked for long periods of time. We have a client in the US, his funds have been blocked for 8 months from his account to his other account here. So we bypass all of this. Okay, I
mean, we've taken now 50% for our project, over 600 million dirhams, and the amount of agents that are asking for third-party transfers from random people.
Exactly.
Like, no, we don't do that. But everyone else does it, and I'm like, okay, that's not everyone else. Let's just stick to the rules. It's crazy.
The amount of calls that we have received since the beginning of this year, even from brokerages who are taking buyer funds and creating manager checks on their behalf, and now are frozen. And it's not just that transaction that's frozen, it's the entire account that's frozen. So they have their employees' salaries, they have the payments they need to make there for bills. So it's become a problem for them. And they're also not accepting third-party manager checks being drawn.
Some of the manager's checks mention the guy that.
When you look at the full statement, we had a situation the other day where a developer refused the son sending the money for his mother for a transaction.
Crazy.
So it's getting very, very difficult, and we are in a very good position to service and help.
Something I want to mention that just came to mind. We actually I couldn't believe it at the time, but we had a check from a manager's check, it was a manager's check, let's just say, and I took it to the bank, and the machine wouldn't accept it. It was for a payment on our properties, and the machine wouldn't accept. So I took it to the teller, gave them my Emirates ID, signed the back of the check, gave them my number. It wasn't my check; it was from an agent. And that evening, we got a call from the bank. It was a fake manager's check. So an agent had taken a bag of cash or whatever it was to a random person, and they'd given them a check.
Happens all the time.
And they actually went to the police. And I was
all
like,
the time.
You can't go to the police because you weren't supposed to be doing that, but they did. Crazy story. So it's just not worth it. Yeah, it's not. It really isn't, especially here, because they take those type of crimes very serious, and it turns into a criminal 100%, offense. Of course, So I mean, is it worth it? No. Is it worth that discount? And our escrow rates are
the most competitive in the market because we're purely digital, so we can save on that cost. So it's just 0.5% for us. But when you're working with these third-party companies that are issuing these manager's checks, you know, some are charging 3%, some are charging 1%. So if you're trying to get a less percentage, is it worth it to go to jail for?
Yeah, I think they paid 0.7.
7, yeah.
Like a few hundred dirhams.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Not at all.
And it's not worth the pain, because what happened to the funds?
Gone.
How are you going to recover the funds? They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah, you're not getting back.
Same thing in the crypto market. It's the same thing. So you have all of these, you know, fly-by-night kind of companies that are accepting crypto at a cheap rate, and they're producing these manager checks. And when it comes time to issue them, and same scenario that you were in, I can tell you many cases similar to that, and then all the currency is gone.
Yeah.
So,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
it's scary out there. That's why you're here, right? It's great to have the service.
Yeah.